Welcome to this video about astrology. And this is a fairly advanced video, and you actually need to be pretty much on board with astrology. So this is a video for my fellow astrologers. And what I want to point out in this video is that the map that is being used in Western astrology is basically wrong. And I will point out these major mistakes as we go along. But the thing is that we have a complete wrong concept of the solar system. And when you have a wrong map, your conclusion and your knowledge is going to be wrong. Simple as that. So where did it all go wrong? Okay, it got wrong with the introduction of the heliocentric model, because the heliocentric model is not true. Simple as that. The thing is that astrology is geocentric. It has always been geocentric. And with geocentrism does not mean that the Earth is a spinning ball, and so the solar system revolves around the Earth. This is a wrong concept of what geocentrism is. True geocentrism means that the Earth is a flat plane of existence. It means that the Earth is stationary and it's the sky that is moving. This is the concept of astrologers, and this is what astrologers use in their practice. In a practical sense, Western astrology is geocentric, like we relate to the sky as it appears in the sky. Okay, but in theory, for most Western astrologers, it's heliocentric. So you make this kind of abstraction in your mind that says, no, it's not the sun that is moving. It just appears as the sun is moving. But actually, it is the Earth that is spinning on its axis, making the sun look like it's moving. So that is the basic concept that most people believe, right? And so the thing is that the fact is that it is the sun that is moving. You know, the fact is that the world is stationary, and there is just so much evidence, empirical, observable, scientific evidence to prove just that. Okay, so the thing is that the Earth is flat, ladies and gentlemen. Just accept it, get over it, and do your research and find out why. The thing is that if the Earth was a spinning ball and that water had a curve, that the ocean was not horizontal but it curved, it would be the absolute most easy thing in the world to prove empirically. All you need to do was to put out a laser beam and prove that there is an actual curve on the horizon. Okay, but there isn't, because water is flat. Okay, so I will just, for the beginners, I will just go through just a couple of what should I say, arguments that the heliocentric model is completely bullshit, and that the Earth is a stationary flat plane of existence, and that is what is called true geocentrism. All right. But I'll just say something about my own situation, because I have believed in the heliocentric model, and that was, of course, what I learned when I studied astrology, right? So I related to the solar system, and I believe that kind of bullshit that the solar system is moving through the galaxy in 800,000 kilometers per hour. And it takes 240 million years to make just one circle around the galaxy in that speed. I believe that, although there was something, in the back of my mind saying, hey, can that really be true? Is that really possible in 240 million years in 800,000 kilometers per hour? And you can just make one round in 240 million years? Come on, wake up. This is not science fiction. This is just simply not true. And that's, of course, not the worst, because everything, the whole The whole model is completely flawed. But anyway, so the thing is that if you really want to get on board with this, you need to do your research. You need to see some of the kind of the basic flat Earth introductory videos there are out there, because there's really many good ones. And my highest recommendation is really the hidden history of the flat Earth, which is just dynamite. Anyway, there are so many good ones. Anyway, so I'll just go through a few, but I'll just say a little bit about my background, because what I said is that I, of course, believed in the heliocentric model, and I think it's about 3 years ago, I was listening to Santos Bonacci, who is an astrologer and a real good one, indeed, and I listened to him because he's an extremely inspiring person, and he's I highly respect him because he is intelligent. He has a deep knowledge of astrology, and all of a sudden he says that the Earth is flat, and I say, oh my God, what's going on? What has happened to him? How can he say something that extreme, total extreme? And so I said, okay, well, what has happened to him? So either he has to be the idiot or I have to be the idiot. So I say, okay, what are the arguments that someone who is that intelligent, how can they come to such a dramatic conclusion that the Earth is flat? So I just did my research. I started to look into the arguments. And I mean, just within a couple of days, I was completely convinced, because the arguments are just overwhelming, simple as that. And so I'll just go through just a couple of those. And I think what convinced me the most was that the Earth is flat. No, that the water is flat. And you have this observation that is being done by the Statue of Liberty, which can be seen from 96 kilometers over the ocean. And the thing is that if there was a curve on the ocean, the Statue of Liberty would be 632 meters below the horizon and not be visible. Okay, so that's a pretty convincing argument, I would say. That was kind of one of those kind of things that really blew my mind. And then there is, countless of observations, like there is the Chicago skyline, which can be viewed from 56 miles across the Lake of Michigan, which also should not be possible if the Earth was a spinning ball. Simple as that. And there's countless of observations like this, okay? And the thing is that so the thing is that the sky is moving. When you take a look at a night photo like this, a night photo like this, which is totally amazing, right? This photo can be taken all over the world, even below the equator it can be taken, okay? And so what you see here is that the Polaris, the North Star, is stationary, okay? And all the sky is moving around the Polaris, okay? This photo, which is taken about 6 or 8 hours during the night, would be absolutely impossible to take if the Earth was a spinning ball. If you had two rotations of the Earth, one in 1,500 kilometers per hour, which is the rotation of the Earth on the surface, and why don't we get, wind in our hair in that amazing speed, right? And the second rotation is that the Earth is moving around the sun, okay, in 10,800 kilometers per hour. So you have those two rotations, and you would never get a picture like this. You would get a bowl of spaghetti, right? And so here, what you're seeing here is that actually it is the stars that are moving. And so actually in astrology, there is no planets. There are no planets. There is just stars, and there is two types of stars. There is wandering stars and there is fixed stars. So the fixed stars, they are fixed, in relation to each other. And the moving stars, the wandering stars, that's what we call the planets. They are moving in their own paths, and they're not circular. They're making rotations. Otherwise, tell me, how can you have 3 retrograde periods of Mercury during a year when Mercury uses 1 year to travel around the zodiac or travel around the sun or whatever you want? So the rotation of Mercury around the zodiac is so there's just so many things that gets into the picture here. Also, you have to say what is the zodiac, right? So there is two types of zodiacs. There is the sidereal zodiac and there is the tropical zodiac, right? And so the sidereal zodiac is kind of, in one sense, uncomplicated because it's the actual fixed stars, the images of the fixed stars that is constituting the sidereal zodiac. The tropical zodiac, which is being used in Western astrology, is a completely different ballgame because it is the path of the Earth around the sun. But the thing is that there is no Earth is not moving around the sun, so it's the sun's path, which is the tropical zodiac, and that makes a whole lot of sense. But anyway, so it's the sun's path, the ecliptic, which is the zodiac, which is divided into 360 degrees and in 30 degrees in each section, which creates the zodiac and the 12 signs of the zodiac. Okay, but anyway, so this is getting a little bit kind of chaotic, I must admit. But anyway, the point just being that there's so many inconsistencies in the perception of the solar system, and if you don't have the map of the solar system right, your astrology is going to be bullshit. It's just going to be wrong. And I'm going to point out what these mistakes are. And the thing is that we actually need a new need a new horoscope, because the horoscopes are wrong. Okay. Still astrology works by all means, but it's when you get deeper into this and you want to ask the basic questions of how astrology works and really, understand what this science is, it is important to install true geocentrism. All right. So what else is here? Okay, that was the movement of the sky, and that there are no planets. The planets are shining by themselves, which amateur, videos of Jupiter and Mars and everything just shows clearly. So the pictures that NASA is showing of the planets are fake. They're made in Photoshop, right? But so the thing is also the moon. The moon is not reflected sunlight. The moon shines by itself. It can be proven empirical because the temperature of the moonlight is lower than the shadow. It's colder. Moonlight is colder than the shadow. With the sunlight is completely opposite. And you cannot get a complete different type of light just by a reflection of a mirror, right? Okay. So the moon is shining by itself. Also the sky. The sky is a, what do you call that? Luminescent light bulb, right? Like a neon light or something. So the sky is moving is lightening by itself with its blue color due to the gases in the atmosphere and so on. So there's, okay, I'm getting out on a tangent here. But anyway, so what should you show? So the point is that the stars, there is wandering stars and there is fixed stars. That is what astrology has been saying all along. And let's have some more pictures here. And if you can have a look at this, which is kind of funny. If you take a look at the heliocentric model, so if the Earth is traveling around the sun, and then you would see the night sky should be completely different during the seasons, because during spring the night sky looks at, it points toward a complete different direction through the so-called universe. Okay, and so the star and the night sky should be radically different throughout the 4 seasons of the year, but that is not the case. The night sky is almost the same throughout the whole year. So this is a kind of a, should kind of be another nail in the coffin of the heliocentric model. What else is there? Yeah, and I love this one with the synodic time. The thing is that if you take a look at the path of the Earth, so then you say in the summertime at 12 noon would point toward the sun. But the thing is that when then the Earth travels around the sun to the winter, 12 noon would point out to the night sky. So 12 noon should be midnight, which it isn't. This is called synodic time, and there is an adjustment that you need to do 6 minutes every day in order to avoid that. Astronomers know this, But the thing is that we don't have synodic clocks, do we? So our clocks is 24 hours every day. So if that was true, thing is that when noon at in the summertime would be midnight in wintertime. So this is just another example that the heliocentric model is basically wrong. Here is what it looks like. The thing is that the solar system is a flat plane which is above the Earth. Simple as that. And the sun is not more than 5,000 kilometers away. It is not 149 million kilometers away. It's just not true. And you can see that clearly when you look at the rays of the sun through the sky. It forms a triangle. And you can measure that triangle, with the angles and the distance, and you will measure the distance to the sun. It's simple as that. And if you get 149 million kilometers, you have calculated wrong. Simple as that. So this is actually in front of our eyes when you start looking. One really great proof of that the Earth is being flat, which takes a little bit time to realize, but when you think about it, the thing is that the horizon always rises to your eye level. You can stand at a beach and you will see that the water goes up and the Earth goes down, and it culminates into the horizon. Okay, and it's horizontal, but it always rises to your eye level. And the thing is, if you're at the top of the mountain, it will be the same thing. If you're in an airplane, it will be the same thing. It always rises to your eye level. So the thing is that is physically only possible if you're looking over a flat plane. You can even try that at a table and see that it works. Because if you were looking over a ball, the horizon would go down as high as you get. So think about that one, because that's an observation that you can do for yourself, and that will convince you that the Earth is a flat plane of existence. Of course, there is many other implications of this. Because what is the Earth in the first place? Because the Earth is not a physical object, okay? Because the Earth is an energy phenomenon, which is only existence as long as there is energy which is moving, okay? So if you ask the question, where does the universe end? Okay, because it doesn't have any end. It can't have any end, because you cannot come out to the end of the universe and say there is a sign there saying this is the end of the world, and then the next question, well, what's outside of that, right? So there is no such thing as non-existence. So the thing is that when you ask the question, what is under the flat Earth, it's the same thing. So the thing is that we are living inside a matrix. This is a dream world. It's not real. I'm not saying it doesn't exist. It does exist in the same way as a dream at night exists, in the same way as your life up until now existed but is gone now. So the thing is that the world as we experience this is like listening to music or seeing a film. It's only in existence as long as it moves. Okay, but this is kind of deeper, what should I say, philosophical questions and deeper reflections on a idealistic worldview in contrast to a materialistic worldview. And so the whole kind of the concept of the solar system, the heliocentric model, and all this, is a purely kind of materialistic worldview, which is, basically completely wrong. Simple as that. But so anyway, so there is, if this is completely new to you, what should I say, the concept of flat Earth, then you need to do your homework. Simple as that. You need to kind of, because it's a big thing, and it's not necessarily the logic that is the problem with the flat Earth. The problem is the consequences, because the consequences are enormous. Because that means that the people in charge are criminals, right? It means that we've been lied to for 500 years. And if they've been lying with this, what else do they lie about, Have they been to the moon, for instance? That's a kind of a complete no-brainer. Of course they haven't been to the moon. It's bullshit. You cannot land on the moon. The moon is not a physical object. In new moon, there is no moon. Simple as that. it's an energetic light phenomena, plasma phenomena, whatever it is. I don't know what the moon is. Flat Earth people don't know what the moon is, and neither do we know what eclipses are, because it's not the Earth or the moon that is making the shadows of the eclipses. It's completely something different. And it might be that the nodes of the moon, what is called Ketu and Rahu in Indian astrology, it might be that they are actually real planets and they are causing the eclipses. I don't know. And I don't know what eclipses are, simple as that. So there is a much stuff that needs to be, reinvented or researched when you start trying to track out a real map of the world instead of the fake heliocentric model map, which is definitely wrong. Okay, so let's this be enough for now, and you got to simply just do your own research on this and come to your own conclusion. And if you still hold on to the idea that the Earth is a spinning ball, then be my guest, and you can live in your own delusions and never underestimate the power of denial by all means. This is what the problem here is, because the logic is not the problem. The conclusion, the consequences of the conclusion is the problem. Because this requires a new kind of view of the world, which means that you cannot trust science. That NASA is a bunch of criminals. It's a complete scam and a fraud. And a tax fraud by never been. The American people have never been more ripped off than NASA. And it's actually old Nazis. Do you know that? Werner von Braun, who was one of the central figures, he was Hitler's top golden boy in rocket science, okay? And so all of these German scientists, they came to America and they established NASA, right? And so just to be, polite and friendly to these Germans, instead of calling it Nazi, they called it NASA, right? So making them feel home, right? So these are basically criminals, and they've been, So these are some of the kind of the crazy consequences. And, if you're a school teacher or you're a professor or a journalist or whatever it is, you might lose your job, if you are so outspoken and telling people that the Earth is flat. So it's basically actually a religious conflict, because there is this belief system in the heliocentric model, is gravitation and evolution and Big Bang, it's dogmas, it's religious dogmas. Right? And if you challenge them, it's the same thing as challenging a religion. They will call you a heretic, and you will be outcasted, and you will be censored or whatever, be considered an idiot and so on. So to think freely is, it's not everybody is in the position to do that, because if I was some kind of, professor or big shot or journalist or whatever it was, I would lose my job for being this outspoken about one of the basic dogmas of our concept of reality, So this implies a lot of kind of psychological things, because the thing is that most people are dependent on their concept of reality, simple as that. And so if you come with something drastic as this and say, hey, listen, folks, you're not living on a spinning ball, it's just an illusion, it's an abstract theory. So if you relate to how you really, how you experience the world, it's stationary, it's flat. You don't see any movement, you don't experience any movement, in spite of we're being told that the Earth is spinning around in 10,800 kilometers around the sun. And that path is supposed to be ecliptic, okay? According to Kepler, okay? So if that path is ecliptic, there would be some major differences in speed, right? So when you go, on the long side, it will be, much faster. When it goes in the curves, it would be much slower, right? And so we should have an enormous acceleration of thousands of kilometers, right? And we don't have any experience of movement whatsoever, right? In fact, on the contrary, this is a stationary plane of existence. And, we can see that it's actually the sun that is moving in the sky. It's completely observable. So if nobody told you, as they do immediately as you put your first child's feet into a classroom, one of the first things they tell you is that the Earth is a spinning ball, And so you don't have the ability to resist that kind of indoctrination and that kind of programming, and every time you see a movie, they show you the spinning ball and so on. So this is This is mind control. This is the modern religion. So anyway, so therefore it is a kind of a big step. And I must admit, I thought, astrologers was kind of open-minded people, but the resistance that I meet with other astrologers is equally as dogmatic and rigid as I experience with normal people. And so astrology should be used to, because you're being ridiculous when you believe in astrology, right? And so I thought astrologers were open-minded people. So very few astrologers is on board with true geocentrism. I know Mark Knight, who has this Wakey, he's on board. He has made some great videos, and Santos Bonacci is on board, and that's probably the only true astrologer I know about that is on board with true geocentrism, and who is realizing that the Earth is a flat stationary plane, and that we need a new basic astrology. Okay, I haven't come to the conclusion yet, which is when you look at the chart, when you look at a horoscope, there is something basically wrong. Because the basic thing is that the sun is moving in a circle, right? And in the horoscope, the sun is moving in two directions. It goes, with the clock throughout the day, and it goes counterclockwise throughout the year. And that is just not right. The sun just goes in one direction, and so the thing is that the way the astrological chart is being set up is kind of based on the heliocentric concept that the Earth is spinning around, and therefore you have two motions of the sun, and that is just not right. So the thing is that okay, as I say, when you look at a normal astrological chart, there is two movements of the sun. The sun and the planets is moving throughout the year. They're moving counterclockwise, and throughout the day, they're moving clockwise. Okay. That is just not right, because the sun is just moving in one direction. And so the thing is that it's not right that when, let's say, at sunrise, if the sunrise, let's say the sun rises and the ascendant is in Aries, okay, and throughout the day, the sun should go backward through the zodiac? No way, So the thing is that you go from Aries, and then the first thing you wake up, that you go into the 12th house. It doesn't matter. It doesn't make sense. So the moment that you wake up in the morning, you don't go into the subconscious, which represents the 12th house. No, if the sun starts up in Aries, the first house and your first period of the day would be in Aries. And then when you have done your 2 hours in Aries, you will go into Taurus. And your 2 hours in Taurus, you will go into Gemini throughout the day. And this is the natural timing done in traditional astrology, right? But this is if you take a modern chart now, you will the sun and the planets throughout the day will go backward through the zodiac. It doesn't make sense. Okay? And so the houses become wrong. So it should be the other way around. It should be that the simple the zodiac should be reversed. What we call the 12th house should be the first house, and the 11th house should be the second house, and so on, and it should be only just one direction of the sun, which is what is happening in the world, in the reality, okay, in the physical world. So that is one of the things that we actually need. Those who are making computer programs, they should definitely make a new astrological chart, which is taking into consideration the true map of reality, which is that the Earth is a stationary plane and that the Earth does not move. The thing is that according to astronomy, there are 3 rotations of the Earth. There is the rotation around the axis, and then there is the rotation around the sun, but there is a third one called the precession movement, which is that there is a wobbling on the axis, and which is the explanation that you have to correct every 72 years you have to correct the zodiac in order to hit the 0 point of Aries, all right? And so therefore the zodiac throughout time move backwards, and so then you get the age of Pisces, the age of Aquarius, and so on, right? And so this explanation from modern astrology does not make sense at all. So the thing is that there is a much deeper explanation to this, which is fantastically being explained in a presentation called The Lost, What on Earth Happened. He made this guy, I don't know what his name is, but he made two just amazing presentations. The one is called The Lost History of the Flat Earth. You see that first. It's just for 5 hours, okay? It is completely, absolutely mind-blowing. And he is not so much about flat Earth, really. It's about a whole other different things, but it really puts flat Earth into a major perspective. And the second one is also for 5 hours, called it's called the What on Earth Happened. And there he comes up with a true, what actually seems like to be the real explanation for the great year of 25,000 years, right? You know, these periods of 2,160 years or whatever it is. Okay, so the thing is that we're not, the Earth is just 1/4. That there is, the thing is that one of the secrets that wanted to keep away from us when it comes to the flat Earth is that there is actually enormous land outside of Antarctica. Okay, so actually the Earth is just 1/4 of the world's. So we only and so the thing is that the Polaris is making a rotation, and so therefore there is this is too complicated to explain, but he does it masterly in these videos. I highly recommend them. Okay, so I think we're kind of getting to the conclusions here, and the thing is that you just have to realize that the Earth is flat. We've been lied to for 500 years. The heliocentric model is completely false. Simple as that. That's not how this reality is. And so therefore, if you really want to have astrology, a correct understanding of astrology, you need a different map. You need a map that is in accordance with the real world. That should be pretty obvious, right? So still, I'm still, it still works, astrology by all means, but still the map is wrong, and it needs to have a basic correction. And if someone, real computer savvy, or those who are really designing the programs, they should really have an option of making the correct astrological wheel, where the sun is moving just in one direction, and you don't go throughout the day where the sun is going backward through the zodiac, because that is just not right. Simple as that. And so the houses has to be correct, and it's not the sun doesn't move into the 12th house the moment it rises. It does not. It doesn't make sense. So I'm a little bit skeptical to the houses, but I can see in consultations and in people's lives, definitely the houses seem to work, right? But so anyway, so astrology is the people in power, the people in charge, they use astrology. That's why all these major events in the world, like particularly 9/11, 2001, the astrology of that day, that was not a coincidence. I thought so long ago. I asked Robert Hand, and I said, why was that? How is that is that astrological lineup? You had Pluto on 13 degrees Sagittarius, which is the ascendant of the American horoscope, and you had Saturn in Gemini and the Twin Towers in opposition exactly that day. How was that possible? And so Robert Hand said, well, it's the universe who speaks to us. Okay, so there is a secret, hidden, deeper intelligence that coordinates these events. And I think it has a more simple explanation, is that the people in power, when they plan 9/11, that kind of terror attack, to make sure that it has a major impact, they coordinate it according to the planets. And so when Pluto comes on the ascendant of the American horoscope, they it gets the full impact that that event had. If you take a look at, for instance, the explosions of the atomic bombs, they made sure that they dropped the bomb when Pluto was on the MC exactly at the moment of the explosion, and that atomic bomb was made by Pluto, of plutonium, right? And so a couple of days later, when they dropped the bomb in Nagasaki, okay, then Uranus was on the MC exactly by the minute, and that bomb was made by uranium. Okay, I don't think that that is by accident. I think it's by design, it's planned. And when the first Apollo mission, landed on the moon, Jupiter was exactly on the MC of the American horoscope. So the thing is that the people in power, they know their astrology, and they have been deliberately through religion and through making astrology look ridiculous and so on. They don't want people to know this, because this is the computer language of our virtual reality. That is astrology. If you take a look inside a computer, it's two electronic signals, 0 and 1, which creates all the graphic on the computer screen. Okay, in a similar fashion, it is the mathematical combinations between the planets and the stars which is generating this virtual reality. So that's why astrology is important. Astrology is natural science, and that astrology is the real coding of this world. That's why it's the original science. Okay. So anyway, so there is, astrology is absolutely amazing knowledge, absolutely amazing science, and it's probably the oldest science there is, but it's completely, it's being, messed up, because we simply have a wrong map of the world. And so get the map right, and then make the necessary corrections in the way we study the stars and the way we study the sky, And hopefully it would be really great if someone who could make real astrological chart based on that the Earth is a stationary, flat plane of existence. Okay. So, yes. So I hope that people who are interested in astrology and seriously interested is able to reflect on these things and have an interest in the reflection of these things, right? But anyway, so I think it's nice with a map. Astrology is definitely a map, and any map, if you're going to use a map, it got to be correct according to the landscape that you are trying to navigate your way through in. Okay. So this is my little rant on my frustration and the things that I consider to be inconsistent and what I consider to be definitely wrong with Western astrology, and it needs a basic correction to make the map right.